buongiorno a tutti, faccio una piccola introduzione in italiano, però farò la presentazione poi in inglese, così anche i nostri ospiti stranieri possono aderire anche ai concetti che indubbiamente molti di voi forse conosciate. Non pretendo di far scoprire l'acqua calda o nient'altro, però probabilmente dare un po' una descrizione a Lean, non dal punto di vista di manufacturing, di produzione, ma in questo caso dal punto di vista di processi aziendali a livello corporate. Io faccio parte di IPO, International Procurement Office della EATON. EATON è un'azienda di quasi 24 miliardi di fatturato e oltre 100.000 dipendenti in tutto il mondo. Lavora nel settore di power management, così chiamato. Cosa vuol dire power management? È tutto che ha a che fare con l'energia. Energia, come la intendiamo, può essere in tante forme. Può essere energia elettrica, può essere energia idraulica, può essere energia automotive, e anche a livello di aerospace. Per esempio, EATON produce oltre 40.000 tipologie di prodotti che abbiano a che fare con risparmio energetico in tutte le sue forme. Indubbiamente i prodotti della EATON si possono trovare nella vita quotidiana di ogni giorno, cominciando da salire su un Boeing 747 dove ci sono delle parti, finendo praticamente sistemi di storage di energia o di warehouse di DHL, per esempio. Quasi tutti DHL e UPS utilizzano prodotti EATON, giusto per darvi un po' un piccolo outline di dove stiamo andando. Io sono responsabile di acquisti della categoria di logistica dentro la EATON, dentro International Procurement Office. È un ruolo globale, molto interessante, indubbiamente un ruolo nuovo. La parte particolare è che EATON, come moltissime aziende grandi, è una serie di acquisizioni. Per cui negli ultimi 20 passaggi sono state fatte 66 acquisizioni che adesso facciano parte della corporation EATON a tutti gli effetti. Infatti diciamo che anche la terminologia interna ci chiamiamo Power Management Company a tutti gli effetti, perché copre uno spettro di prodotti e di tipologie di prodotto a sé molto particolare. Detto questo, passiamo alla parte della presentazione in inglese, passo adesso all'inglese. Volevo un po' dare una piccola introduzione di cosa vuol dire Lean dal punto di vista di procurement. Anche lì, per chi forse non conosce il termine, procurement non è solo acquisto, non è solo comprare al prezzo migliore, va un po' oltre. Infatti è un concetto che mi piace sviluppare anche nel tempo moderno, infatti spiegherò ancora un pochino di più. Okay, I'll switch to English now. So basically, what we are usually saying that, well, logistics can be very simple. You just buy whatever you get at the best price, and as far as your transit terms or lead times are respected, you are good, you're well enough. Well, American Shipper, which is one of the largest organizations and recognized ones all over the world, has stated that in their recent survey just coming out in these weeks, that over 60% of all of the shippers and 3PLs still really do strongly believe it's a relationship-driven business. So that's one side of it I'll be touching upon, and it has to do with Lean very closely, by the way. That's a very interesting part of it. Something else, the logistics procurement itself can get down to numbers, pure numbers sometimes. So that's why we say it's maybe more science than art. So there is kind of a dilemma of the logistics procurement, because it's a combination of things. So we'll touch upon that as well. An interesting maybe fact as well, some of the numbers. It is being stated that some 75% of all logistics procurement projects, which can be, bidders, tenders, whatever, it can have different scale as well. are not delivering the forecasted result that's been probably adopted from the very beginning in the business case. That's a very interesting particular fact. We'll touch upon as well some of the probably reasons of that. So I just wanted to start with this procurement dilemma, because we might just think, okay, show me the numbers, show me the savings, and we move forward. We still do strongly believe that in this category of procurement, it is still the relationship-driven business. And I'll be explaining it on the base of the skills of new buyers or new procurement managers, as it is being requested maybe with the current world. Well, some of the common challenges of logistics procurement itself, okay, that's of course data and technology. Another interesting fact that was coming from the latest survey just last month, 2 out of 5 logistics procurement managers are still having a manual process. It means we're having a whole amount of different technological products which can evaluate and help us in this process, but 2 out of 5 are still choosing a simple Excel spreadsheet. Well, it can also be down to the complexity of the business that they're doing. It's not necessarily because there are no investments or not necessarily the exact tools to do that. It can be also a matter of choice, or because maybe it's corresponding to the necessity. But it's just to outline that it's still pretty much based on not what you do, but how you do it as well, which can be, again, can be pro and contra, because it can optimize your process based, again, we're getting back to some of the lean principles here, but at the same time, it can bring the complexity, and the human factor error is still there. So, okay. Something else that's been underestimated in the last decades from the buyers and purchasing terminology perspective, but that brings the value add probably to procurement itself as a term, is how we communicate, what we communicate, to which extent, and how the internal and external stakeholders are engaged in the whole process. That's never been taken into consideration probably in early times, and actually this is one of the statements that also Lean is underlining here. We really do have to get the buy-in from all the involved parties. By the way, the biggest complexity I've always encountered was not the supplier relationship management. It has nothing even to do with the complexity of the projects. It's how the organization itself is, first of all, prioritizing that specific project, because probably you've encountered already in your professional life. Your priority very often is not exactly the priority of who is being involved in the project itself, even though they have certain participation in it. So I still do believe that's one of the criticalities, challenges, and one of the Lean's, in fact, principles is also touching upon that. Well, we can talk for hours and hours about processes and standards, and I'll be showing a few examples based on EATON's experience in the next slides. So I was mentioning before, EATON, for example, it's a huge, massive amount of different acquisitions. So 66 different size acquisitions from different types of businesses, different ERP systems. So we are, of course, talking about different cultures and diversified approaches to business itself. So I'll be showing on the next slide what actually EATON did to become this unique stream and a global company indeed. Well, the next point is what I was mentioning before. We might just think, okay, just show me your savings, show me how much money we can save, and we just move along. So procurement at this stage, especially in logistics, which is a very complex world, believe me, people keep on asking me, why are you doing the logistics? It's just so complicated. I said, maybe that's exactly the reason, because there is still so much to learn, to do, and you can keep on going because it's a never-ending story. There is always something to be improved. and we all know it. So maybe a truly developed and mature procurement organization goes really beyond the year-on-year cost savings. And we are talking about supplier engagement here, long-term strategies. We are talking about a number of different projects which are bringing maybe their value at not exactly, based on, let's see, the 3%, whatever, 10% discount, and we are good here. People and skill sets. I put it at the very end on purpose, because of course it's not the least. It goes all along the process. So what's been going on here, I believe there is some evolution also in terms of whom we expect to find on the other side of the table. Which type of skills do we request from people? Well, recently there has been very nice talks and everything about emotional intelligence. Some of the terms are becoming very, fashionable, and we keep on using them without understanding the meaning, or it just sounds good and it sounds very interesting, and you just put it on your resume and you keep on going. So it's not only the analytical skills here that are required for a very good professional who is doing the procurement. We are talking about a number of skills. In fact, there is another very interesting study that just came in recently. So the evolution of procurement professional also is there. So we are talking about project management skills, which comes along with Lean very well because it's a part of it. We are talking about most certain negotiation skills, but they were already there before. But it's not only about the price, it's about better conditions overall. And it's not only transit time or lead time logistics-wise. It's also about ensuring the capacity, even if there are certain challenges in the logistics world. Well, we are in Europe here, but there has been a huge challenge, for example, for import-export in the United States recently because of Long Beach and Los Angeles strikes. I don't know if you've ever heard of those. For example, it was putting down on the knee some of the very big shippers in terms of respecting their deadlines. So who got the capacity? The ones who had the better relationship with their suppliers, basically. So we are talking about the change management itself, but change management not in terms of just putting together a project. I don't know how many of you are working actually in the logistics field in general, but usually in every kind of mid or large organization, it's always been considered a supplemental kind of service. Well, it's something, yes, logistics comes along, so they will just keep it up. So something else, that logistics procurement in a well-developed organization would already be there at the very beginning of any project. It can be industrial project, can be manufacturing, can be optimization project. So that's what has been changing as well. So it's not the last piece in the chain anymore. That's becoming a very fundamental piece from the very beginning. By the way, there are also certain figures. For example, a good procurement organization can give you almost 50% of return on investment benefit. And that's a huge amount. So maybe we never realize it at a certain extent, but if you put together the efforts and the cost avoidance, that's another term which is starting to be quite popular. So it's not saving anymore. It's not direct communication on the, yes, we negotiated better rates. We are going beyond. You're doing the cost avoidance, which has much deeper value sometimes. Talking of which, I just wanted to give you a few terms that EATON is using. So it's a over 100,000 people organization on different levels with different skills, speaking different languages, coming from different educational background. How do you make them speak the same language? you use the same terminology. So what EATON did, EATON created the registered trademark, which is called EATON Business System. We're not talking about logistics or procurement here anymore. We are talking about the same language, the same concepts, which are being used throughout the organization, which is strongly promoted. So again, we're applying Lean here right now, because you're already being efficient by understanding what you mean, because you're using the same terms. As a part of the EATON Business System, there is a certified and registered trademark, which is EATON Lean and Six Sigma. It's a set of processes, procedures, terms, tools, which are there for every employee of EATON. So I really do see it as a value add. Again, we need to see how much it's being applied by each of the employees, but it's all there. So it is created. So you've got your tools. So it's just the matter of using them. Another thing that getting back to the logistics itself and procurement, for example, as a part of the EATON Business System, there is Pro-Launch system, which is another registered trademark of EATON. What Pro-Launch is, that's profitable. Again, it's not a system, it's an approach, actually. Let's put it this way. What this approach helps you to do is to put in a structured way whichever project you might be doing. And basically, it's profitable, reliable, on-time launch. And that's exactly the system which we are using very strongly as a part of the process for global project for logistics procurement. I'm not going to go through any of the details, just to show you the example that you don't need to create the structure anymore. So you're having a standardized approach. You don't have to reinvent the wheel anymore. You just take and you adapt it to your need. So basically, just to give you an example, so that's a 6-gate approach, which is showing how any project can be, in fact, started, initiated, deployed, and controlled at the end. And here it's a complete Lean approach. Then every single structure, function, or manager can, in fact, apply it to its own need. So, for example, that's the process that I created for myself for doing the procurement on a global level for logistics. I've done recently a global air and ocean, for example, tender, and I'm already using this approach itself. It saves you not only the time, but really the efforts, and in people's communication inside of the organization, you really do speak the same language. Believe me, that's much easier. I'm not saying everything is perfect. There is still much resistance to change. There is still much resistance to understanding of how to do the things better. Well, just another example, continuous improvement flow, most certainly. Again, you don't have to make up your own things anymore. You just take and you do spend much more time on communicating with people. You're just saying, okay, this is already the structure. We don't need to agree on it. It already is existing. So you keep on working on the value-added services. Maybe you're trying to understand the better need of internal customers. You're trying maybe to put your efforts into getting to the stage where you're trying to find a non-ordinary solution maybe to the problem as well. Well, that's all theory, right? In practice, you never know how it's going to work. So that's another thing of the logistics complexity. Well, that's where we stand. So it's, again, up to us how we use whatever terminology, whatever knowledge we might be having. Not everybody wants to share the knowledge either. So that's another step on the effective communication piece. Where I wanted to get with this presentation, that in certain organizations, there are evolutions of the process. There is no perfect scheme of which procurement organization or which type of maturity it has to achieve, by the way. Well, usually we're talking about 4 different types of logistics procurement organization. It can be centralized, decentralized, it can be matrix organization, etc. It's not better or worse. It depends on the need of the company itself or where it's going, how it's evolving. But the mainstream would be is that it's not a support service anymore. It's getting to the effect of becoming a very proactive function, which is driving the change, not just following the change within the organization. We are talking about, of course, collaboration with all the other functions. That's what I find kind of fundamental. So I just put together maybe some of the different levels of how a logistics procurement organization may look. So we can start from the basics, like buy cheaper. Then you can get to a different stage, which is spend better. Then you can get to a certain stage where you try to spend less by a number of different optimization projects. Well, managing the risk is another competitive advantage of procurement, not just purchasing or pure buying. That gets to the, again, relations with the suppliers, how you create your future, how you're talking about even inputs from your suppliers on optimization process. So it's not your call anymore. You're expecting your suppliers to come to you and propose you better services or better options for your business. By the way, for those working in the logistics, have you ever noticed that your long-term suppliers know your business much better than you do? Here I go. And the most advanced stage, the way I see it at least, of a logistics procurement organization would be contribution to growth. So you're not just following whatever somebody decided, whatever the senior mark or management field. You're going there because you have a solution already. Well, that's about it from my side.
Ok.
Ci sono delle domande?